Literally, there is like a 7-year-old driving a tractor down the road. I'm not even joking right now. He's already gone past. He was flying in that thing. Like, I couldn't have gotten the camera up quick enough. That's Kentucky for you. That's working in a rural school. That's awesome. Good for him. Welcome to my first ever teacher tip. For me, it's summertime. I'm not going to call it a summer vacation yet because it's not really been a vacation yet. But I wanted to go ahead and get my first ever teacher tip out into the world. So here it is. Let's talk about work-life balance. The focus of these next few teacher tips, the ones that are going to be released this summer, are going to be in the vein of personal development. How to be just a little bit better every day than you were the day before. And so today I want to talk a little bit about work-life balance. It's an apt time to talk about this because I haven't had a day off since like the first week of June. Since then, I've pretty much been on every single day. I have been on every single day doing something related to work. So just to provide a little bit of context, the second week of June, I started working a summer camp at Western. It's called SCATS. I did that for 2 weeks as part of my practicum for my master's degree. Then this week, I've been doing a summer camp here at school. On the weekends, and for example, this week in the afternoons, I've been working down at the marina. If you've watched the vlog before, you know that I work a second job from the spring to the fall. So it's been a little while since I've had like just a day for me where I don't have to worry about doing anything for work or class or anything like that. Figured that would be a good little segue into talking about work-life balance because I still feel all right. All right, tip number 1, have a routine. So for the longest time, I thought that having a routine meant that I was getting old. I thought that having a routine, like something that I did every day, no matter what, meant monotony. And that monotony meant that I was losing my youthful spirit of being spontaneous and just going with the flow. But as I've gotten older, I've come to value a routine. And so maybe it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. I still have my youthful spirit. I don't think I'm boring or old or anything like that. Not that old equals boring. Kind of dug a little hole for myself there. Anyways, a routine. Having something that you do pretty much every day, no matter what. So for me, that looks like a morning routine. I get up in the morning and I pretty much do the same thing every day, Monday through Sunday. Teachers know that once they walk into school, it could be, any number of different things could happen. There's just all kinds of things that could go not as you plan throughout the day. However, if you have a routine, something outside of school, something that you can control, then that can help bring some balance into your life. So in the mornings, when I wake up, I pretty much do the same thing. It's a consistent routine that I've tried to develop over the past couple of years, and it's something that works pretty well for me. And I know that no matter what time I get home in the afternoon, no matter what goes on during the school day or after the school day, no matter how many errands I have to run, parents I have to call, or meetings that I have to go to, that the next day, that next morning, I'll wake up and be able to hit reset just a little bit. It's more of like a checkpoint in a video game, if you will. Because it's consistent, because it's something that I try to do every day, it kind of helps bring me back to center a little bit. Lets me start the day off right. It doesn't continue the chaos from the previous day. It puts a stop to it, or at least puts it on pause, and lets me start fresh. And there's all kinds of videos out there about morning routines, and yeah, you could watch those about what people do, and you could try to replicate that, but really it's all about just finding out what works for you. And it doesn't even have to be a morning routine. It could be like a nightly routine, what you do before you go to bed. You might be able to have some control over that. Now, I know if you've got kids, that's a little bit of a different story, because sometimes you're on their schedule instead of your own. So I'm not forgetting about you parents out there. It's just that I have no experience with that. Yeah, so that's tip number 1. Have a routine. Tip number 2, find something that recharges your batteries. If you have a hobby or something that you're passionate about outside of teaching, you know that anytime that you spend doing that, you're usually left feeling pretty good after you do it. For me, it's playing Dungeons and Dragons every week. It's something that I've done for like the past 5 years, pretty consistently every week, and it's something that I look forward to, and it's something that lets me escape myself a little bit. It's metacognitive. I get to be a character. Any bad or anything stressful that happens throughout the week or, leading up to that, I'm usually able to forget it for a little bit. After that whole experience is over, maybe look at it in kind of a fresh way. Just like having that routine is kind of a reset, doing something that I'm passionate about, even just for a little bit of time, just for an hour or two a week, helps me reset a little bit as well. It helps bring that balance back into my life. So yes, I might have to work really hard up to that point and expend a lot of energy and be under a lot of stress, but that little break helps bring some of that balance back in. So for you, that might be a hobby, it might be a sport, it might be a group that you're a part of, people that you meet with every week, or reading a book, going for a run or hike, something that you can do when maybe things get a little tough, or something that you do every week, like if you're building a routine, something consistent that is going to fill you back up whenever you do it. If you have something like that that's within the world of teaching, then that's awesome. You've gotten it figured out, okay? Good on you. But sometimes it's helpful to have something outside of teaching to kind of take your mind off of things for a little bit. That's really what me playing D&D does for me. It helps me take my mind off of things. Find something that you like to do. Find something that makes you feel good after you do it, like you feel accomplished or relaxed or just, reset. And it doesn't even have to be equal time or equal energy spent doing that. Sometimes just a little break, and that can help reset things a little bit, help bring you back to center. And that's something that I use to help juggle that work-life balance. I've had my weekly D&D games for a while now, but the idea of that being something that gives you a break from sometimes like the stressful nature of teaching, really got those ideas from Real Rap with Reynolds and Kyle Thain back when he did teacher tip videos. So it's not me saying that this is my idea. It's just kind of my spin, my take on things. So I highly recommend that you go check out those channels. I'm going to link them below, and because they've got all kinds of awesome teacher tips. So check those out. You won't be sorry that you did. My room's kind of a mess right now. I'm running out of places to do these tips. We might just have to come back. Oh, no. I've got a better idea. I'm going to have to hunker down like this for a little bit. All right, what tip am I on? Tip number 3. There we go. Bring it back to center. If you've ever seen somebody like literally trying to keep their balance, like a tightrope walker or somebody on a slack line, you know that they're making small incremental changes to try to keep equilibrium. They're not like throwing their weight all off to one side or the other. If they start to get off balance a little bit, you'll see that they'll make a small incremental change to bring it back to center. And that's a pretty good metaphor for what we can do in our lives. Because sometimes if we spend a lot of energy doing one thing, like maybe you had a crazy week that just absolutely drained you, like Friday afternoon, you get home and you hit the couch and you're just dead to the world for a night. If you've ever had one of those weeks, instead of bringing it all the way back in the other direction where the next week you don't do anything, like you neglect all of your adult responsibilities, you know that that's going to throw your life off balance in the other way, and that's just as bad as having the crazy week before. So instead of trying to spend equal amounts of time and energy doing one thing or the other, throwing your weight back and forth all the time, I'm so busy this week, I'm a slug this week, make little incremental changes, and that's where you can bring back in finding those little things that charge your battery. Even going from like 2% battery to 10% battery is better than having a dead battery. If we're talking cell phones and stuff, the struggle. So try to find those little breaks, maybe those little breaks throughout the day or the evening or even throughout the week that helps you reset just a little bit. It's the little checkpoint that you can go from. Those little changes help bring you back to center. Maybe it's like sitting down for 15 minutes after school and just like enjoying the silence, or cracking open a book and reading it for a little bit, or going for a walk. Those little things, little adjustments that you can make throughout the week or throughout the day that bring you back to center. Tip number 4, don't be afraid to go all in. So we all know that our life is never going to constantly be in a state of balance. You know that every once in a while you're going to have to do a little bit of work, that you're going to have to expend a little bit of energy or a lot of energy and maybe be under a lot of stress. And that's not always a bad thing. So hear me out on this. A lot of times the work and energy that you put into something is worth it when you see the fruits of what you do. In that, it makes all the stress and all the energy and all the work and sweat and blood and tears, whatever that you put into it, it makes it all worth it. And that in itself is a balancing force. Yeah, it might be crazy and it might, be stressful when you're in that moment. Look at what happens because of that work that you put into it. Don't be afraid to take a chance and go all in and throw yourself out of balance a little bit when you know that it's going to be worth it. For instance, like when planning a unit or planning a lesson, if I really just want to knock it out of the park, like I go all in on it. And I might work harder on it than I do anything else. And I might spend more time working on planning all that out than I do anything else, because I know that it's going to be worth it in the end. And to me, like I said, that's a balancing force. When I see how much the kids enjoy it and how much they learn from it, that to me is worth it. It's worth all of the stuff that I put into it. Last tip for today, tip number 5, and this one is the most difficult one for me. It's the one that I'm trying to work the hardest on, and that is gratitude. So at the beginning of the video, I talked about the crazy month of June that I've had, where I haven't had a day off since the beginning of the month. At first, especially in the week leading up to it, because I knew that I wasn't going to have a day off. I wasn't surprised by this or anything. Leading up to the camp at Western, I was very cynical about it and very bitter. I'm doing it for a class, so I had to pay WKU to be able to essentially work for them for free, is the way that I'd framed it in my mind. And because of that, I, did not have a very positive outlook on it. There was always that little tinge of negativity that I had when thinking about this. Like day one, when I got there and I was working with those kids and we were doing a class over the Crusades, and they were brilliant kids. That negativity, like I kind of felt bad for feeling that negative about the situation, because it ended up being an amazing experience, and I hope that I get to go back next year. I learned so much during those 2 weeks. When reflecting on that, I'm thankful that I had that experience. Like I'm thankful that part of my class was going to Western and working with those gifted students and being able to teach them and work with them and learn from them and other teachers. And it was hard, but now that I've looked back and realized the experience was great and something that bettered me as a person, even though it might have been challenging planning all that stuff and making it to a different town every day and the commute, all the energy that I spent, all the sleep that I lost over that class. I'm thankful for it. It doesn't feel like energy wasted, and it doesn't feel like it's something that has thrown my life out of balance now. Like just the way I've reframed it in my mind has brought that balance back. And the way that I've reframed it is from the standpoint of being grateful that I got that experience. And sometimes that's hard because it goes against our pride, it goes against our ego, especially when we think that we're right in the moment. It happens all the time. Like think about during the school day, you have a challenging student, you're so frustrated, and they might be the reason that you feel your life is out of balance, but reframe it and think about it like this. That student that's challenging you, it's a test in your patience. It's a test in your empathy or sympathy for their situation. Through these tests and through these challenges, you know that when you come out on the other end, because you're going to come out on the other end of it, you're going to be better because of it. You're going to have learned something from it. You're going to know what to do when you have a student like that in the future. Or let's say that you have a bad observation, like it goes south, like it's not good, it's not anything that you thought it would be. Think about what you learned from that and be thankful for it, be grateful for it. And you can always do that with everything. It's a lot to ask to do it with everything, but being thankful even for the chaos, being thankful for the frustration, the stress, all the work that you put into it, the blood, sweat, and tears, being thankful that you have that opportunity. Being thankful that it's teaching you something, or being thankful that you're able to do something that you love every day. That is a balancing force. It's something I feel so much better about, that and not having any days off and working so hard for it, because I see what it did for me in the long run, and I'm thankful for that. So yeah, tip number 5, be thankful for the hard times, because they're gonna help you grow in some way. Let that gratitude bring some balance back into your life. All right, people, that's the first ever teacher tip video, work-life balance. Those are things that work for me. Hopefully they've helped you. If you know somebody that might need to hear some of these things, share this video with them, tell them about some of the things that we talked about today. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more of this stuff, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, or think that I got something wrong or something like that, let me know and we can talk about it. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you want. I'm going to be doing more of these over the summer and throughout the school year. I finally decided to get over my fears of putting myself out there like this and going for it, because I feel that I have some helpful things to share. If it's summertime for you and you're out of school, I hope that you're enjoying it. I hope that it's a great one. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. All right, peace.